welcome back to the Roundtable Unfiltered, where we have no filters, just real talk and raw opinions. Today we got Chris Rowe. Thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it. And yeah, man, it's been a long time.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. And yeah, it's definitely been some time, but it's gonna be nice to catch up with you.
Yeah, because it's crazy. So for people that don't know, so Chris and I, we did the Empire Universe media for a while, and then I just kind of, I think we both just kind of, it was pretty mutual. We just kind of gave up, or not gave up, but it was just, I think I had enough of working for myself, and we were both just getting busy, and things happen, eh?
Yeah, that was during a lot during COVID times, lockdowns.
Yeah.
We both had a lot of free time, and then when things opened up, we both started working a lot more. And fortunately, those media or doing that media stuff wasn't paying us, so we were doing that straight out of passion. But it was really fun. But honestly, life picked up and things happened.
Yeah, I mean, passion is good, and that's what you see with a lot of people, like with a lot of media outlets that just start out. It is just it's just honestly just passion. Like the guys I'm working with at MMA Unhinged, obviously it's everything's unpaid, but for me, it's something we do it because we enjoy it, right? I mean, if you get to a position where you can start getting paid for it, then great. But for me, I have a full-time job, so for me, it's like it's all good, man. For you, what did you find? Because before MMA Unhinged, or excuse me, Empire Universe, you were doing something before that. I can't remember. How did that all work out for you?
Yeah. Me and my friend, shout out Tyfornia, we had a podcast called These Guys Talk. And it wasn't just right. Like media. We were interviewing like our friends and YouTubers, other podcasters, but we just had I had a lot of MMA connections, so we had a lot of UFC guys on there as well. So that's where we were kind of doing it. And same thing, like we did that during COVID, during lockdown. Had so much free time. I would DM anyone, but you'll come on the podcast. And I think we did like 25, 30 episodes. It was a lot of fun. And every time I see Ty, we always talk about getting it going again, but we're both very busy with work and stuff. So something I'd really consider getting back going, because I don't, like I said, you were talking, I don't really care about the money. It's just I really enjoyed having conversations with cool people. So,
well, if I can recall, then weren't you guys the ones that interviewed Butterbean?
No, that wasn't us. No.
Okay, I'm trying to think who it was. I mean, this is years ago.
That would be a pretty cool interview, though.
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, yeah, I want to say it was some other guys that I remember linking up with, and this is when MMA, or I keep saying MMA Unhinged, when Empire Universe was, I think when I just kind of started getting out and starting to get a bit of a groove, I was trying to link up with a couple of guys, and this is when I was doing more as podcasts and actual interviews. And I can remember doing an episode with a couple of these other guys, and it must have been these other guys. They're actually not too far off from me. Like I think they're from London, and I believe that then those are the guys that interviewed Butterbean. It was somebody I knew, and I know, and I think I got you and your buddy confused because of these other guys. They were both like collab on doing their own podcast thing, so it must have been them. But they did an interview with Butterbean. I remember watching it, and it was great. And it's kind of cool to watch it because in the recent, I don't know if you ever heard about his story, but he's like come out and he's like lost a bunch of weight, and I guess he had a lot of problems and a lot of health issues. So it's kind of cool to see someone kind of gain everything back and try to, obviously he's not going to fight anymore, but just to see the story and seeing someone be able to overcome something and work hard every day to kind of overcome something is really cool.
Yeah, for sure. Like I've seen clips of him here and there, but I didn't know he was going through like a weight loss journey or anything. So that's pretty cool to hear about that.
But I think my biggest
he was a
memory,
legend back in the day.
He was a legend.
Jackass.
And yeah. And I don't mean to interrupt you because every time you're talking, I think like your lips, like everything is like delayed. So I apologize in advance for that.
No worries, man.
Yeah, but I think my biggest memory is actually watching him on Jackass. That was probably the best. And him like punching out Johnny Knoxville. That was great. I think it was Johnny Knoxville.
That was iconic. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I think it was Johnny Knoxville as well. That was hilarious. Just him beating the crap out of Johnny Knoxville in like some antique store or something like that.
Yeah, they had some and I think they had the one, I don't know if it was the same movie, but it was like the same version, but they had some like Asian kickboxing champion, or she was some kind of boxing champion, and she just whooped some guy's ass. It was great.
And then I think in the recent one, they had Francis Ngannou was on it, right? I don't know if you ever saw that.
Yeah, so that was the fourth one, and yeah, they had Francis Ngannou. I think he punched some guy in the nuts, and he was wearing a cup. Yeah. But I mean, you're still getting punched in the nuts, and I can tell you, I played enough hockey where you still get a puck in the nuts and it still hurts. So
yeah, any low blow with a groin guard or a cup on it, it hurts regardless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, man, like, so enough of that. Like, what have you been up to? I know that you've always had an interest in boxing, and I know that you were teaching people, obviously as personal trainer, and then now you're venturing out and doing amateur boxing. So how's that all going?
Oh, dude, it's been incredible. I'm training alongside some of the best boxers in Canada, such as like Ryan Rizicki, Lucas Body, who won 2024 KO of the year. I don't know if you saw that. Sarah Bailey, I was just at their show this past weekend. She's a WBA light flyweight champion. It's just cool to be surrounded by such high level people. It's super motivating every day going to the gym and just seeing like people that are like top 10 in the world or like even champions. So I've been training like consistently in boxing probably about almost 3 years now. I had my first amateur fight October 25th, which was one of the most surreal experiences of my life. It was so fun just fighting in front of like 400 people under the bright lights, people screaming my name. Like, it was insane. Like, it makes sense now why like fighters always want to fight, because now I know that feeling. Like, it's just nothing has ever compared. I played high level soccer my entire life, and like all those games, that high pressure championship games I played playing soccer didn't come close at all compared to that one fight. So,
well, and I think it's really cool that, because prior to us, I think prior to us, our departure with Empire Universe, I remember you were doing kind of your own media as well, and you asked me to help you edit some, or no, I think this was after, and you asked me to help you edit some clips from your interview with Ryan, and knowing that, you kind of had that relationship with him prior, and then you get to train with him now as an athlete. I mean, that must be just a, complete, 360 now. I mean, like, that's awesome.
For sure. Yeah, it was, we did a great interview, and yeah, that's going back like 2 years now. He's fighting for the WBC Cruiserweight Championship coming up soon. He's one of the most violent fighters I think out there right now. Once he gets his belt, everyone's going to want to fight him. The world's about to know his name, that's for sure. So,
well, and it's cool to have, like, really good athletes. I mean, athletes in general, but to have ones that make a name for themselves coming from Canada. I think it's one of those things that, because I feel like the United States and the Europeans, they really seem to kind of take over the sport. Granted that, you have Canada, and then you have the United States, and you have a lot more people, and you have more selection. So I feel like if we're talking about MMA, or we're talking about boxing, or obviously you get the UFC, it's cool to kind of see not just Canadians, but even local talent come out and really make a name for themselves. It's not just cool, but I think it's also one of those things that it's motivating, like for you, like, okay, you had your first amateur bout and you're training with a guy that's champ. Like, I mean, that's knowing that he's showing you the possibilities of what you could do with your career if you really want to go forward with it and go pro.
100%. It's extremely motivating just being surrounded by people at that level. Like, there's all genuinely nice guys and girls, and just seeing their work rate in the gym, seeing how hard they train, see how many times they train a day, seeing what they're eating, like all those minor details. You see that stuff, and it makes you motivated to work harder and just train and just win your next bout.
Yeah, and I mean, for you, like, so you've been doing the boxing so far. What, like, you take those skills. for you, uh, where like, so do you know when your next bout comes up? Are you offered something? Like, do you sign under a certain promotion, like to get you another fight? How does this all work when you're amateur?
When you're amateur, your coach kind of does everything for you. I train under Stevie Bailey. He's considered one of the best boxing coaches in Canada, and he'll shoot me a text and let me ask. Like, he'll just ask me, like, "Hey, like, what's your weight? Like, do you want to fight?" And that's pretty much it. And you just kind of like, you keep your eyes open for like events and tournaments and stuff like that. There's always like certain tournaments such as like the Brampton Cup. I know there's a novice tournament that happens in London every year. So those are all possibilities. And then there's house shows, club shows all the time too. So it just all depends. The main thing about being an amateur boxer is to always stay ready because any opportunity can come. I've heard stories about guys that my teammates have taken a fight on like a day's notice, because people pull out all the time and you just got to be ready for the opportunity.
And as amateur, like you don't, do you make any money from that?
No money at all. It's just all about passion.
Okay. Right.
So it can be difficult. I was gonna say, like, as an older, like, I'm 26 now, so like, you still, it's all about passion. I'm working full time, working 50, 60 hours a week, like just trying to live a decent life. And then on top of that, I got to train like 5, 6 times a week. I have to spar. I have to hit mitts. I got to go to classes to get my skills better. But so it's you got to be very disciplined.
And that being said, obviously it's all just passion. And they don't pay you, but is there things that they take care of for the events? Like, is there things that they supply you?
Just gloves, headgear, and that's really it. It's just you just fight. You don't really get rewarded anything. You don't get a percentage of ticket sales. You don't get free food. You don't get free drinks afterwards. Like, it's just, you get the opportunity. You get the opportunity to showcase your skills, and that's the main thing.
And I feel like, as much as you have to have so many amateur fights until you feel you're ready to go pro, whatever you decide to do. But I think if you compare it to like a job, you compare it to, this is the job you really want. You're doing whatever you're doing right now because you're passionate about your job, but then eventually you're at A, but you want to get to B or C. Well, you got to do this for a little bit and show the passion that you want, and then you get rewarded to get into B or get into B or get into C in that job.
Yeah,
that's how I kind of see it.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the point of amateur boxing is to get experience, get as many fights as you can, try to win as much as you can. And then if you want to go pro. And that's really it.
And like for you,
that's when the money starts coming in, right? So.
Right. And for you, like, you're based out of Toronto, correct? I know you were living in GTA.
Yes, Toronto. And,
I mean, that alone, just having that opportunity, not just to go box with great boxers and have a great coach, but to be able to do it not just anywhere in Ontario, but you're able to do it in Toronto, the big city, where you have more of the opportunity. Just to have that opportunity to do that, I think that's just awesome. And obviously, there's a lot of great amateur fights and events that can go on. I mean, my hometown, where I grew up, I mean, they've had amateur boxing there as well. But to have it in Toronto, I think there's nothing like it.
Yeah, there's a lot of gyms out here. A lot of gyms put on shows. There's also just a lot of fighters, a lot of people you can network with and train with, and it's a great place to be as an amateur boxer. That's for sure.
And like for you, so you're still doing are you still training people? You're still the personal trainer, or whereabouts are you working at the moment?
Yeah, I'm working at the Toronto Cricket and Curling Club. It's a private athletic club. I love it there. I'm the head of the personal training department, and then I also do personal training and teach group fitness on the side. I've been there just over 3 years now, so it's been a great experience. I love my coworkers. I love the members there. They're extremely supportive for me as an amateur boxer. A bunch of members and my coworkers came to my last fight, so it means a lot to me. And they treat me really well, and they're always super supportive, and something I'm really grateful for.
Yeah, and like that being said, I did get to watch the little documentary that you made, like the leading up to your fight. I don't remember what it was called.
More Than a Fight.
Yeah, More Than a Fight. I did have a chance to watch it. It was really, really neat. For you, did you feel like it was important to document all that? Was it like, what kind of prompted that decision?
I'm a big fan of like professional boxing, and a lot of these fighters, I feel like it's a trend, even like with like UFC embedded, like, and then when these fighters, they're making these type of videos on their own personal channels, showing the behind the scenes, and I think the behind the scenes stuff is what a lot of people are interested in the most. So, luckily, one of my friends, Nolan O'Kane, he's a very good videographer and editor, and I pitched this to him before. It was like summer 2023. I was supposed to fight the November 2023 before I had a ruptured appendix. But I pitched it to him, and he really liked the idea. And I just wanted to, document what I had to go through my first fight. And surely enough, I don't know if whoever's watching this has seen episode 1. That was arguably one of the wildest days of my life. I had a fight, got canceled, had a fight, went and made weight, and then got told my fight was off again, all in one day. So,
but I feel like, and as much as fortunate as that is, I gotta feel like that's just something that you have to go in knowing that it's a real possibility, or it's a real possibility that your opponent does come in, makes the weight, and then gets sick, an hour before your fight, right? Like, I guess that's just the fighter's life, and I guess it's just something that no fights. I was talking to my buddy Jose Shorty Torres, and he was talking about how no fight is never. There's never a fight that's gonna, or like there's never a fight that's gonna happen until the cage closes, right? Until both guys are in the octagon. I don't think a fight's actually ever gonna happen, and I guess like that's kind of just the mentality you have to have, knowing that those are possibilities.
Yeah, I mean, Shorty Torres is completely correct. Like, as soon as you're, in the ring, in the cage, staring at your opponent, and that bell rings, nothing is guaranteed. And unfortunately, I learned that the hard way. And prior to that fight, where those cancellations, I was so locked in, and I truly believed everything was going to happen, and I didn't even think of that as a possibility. So it was tough, and even the following months after that, it was tough. But I was extremely fortunate that Stevie Bailey and my gym West End gave me the opportunity to finally step in there after a couple setbacks. But I finally got in there. It was a great night.
And what's your weight cut look like?
I don't really cut a lot of weight. I walk around like 190, 200 pounds. I ended up fighting at 185. During your first few fights, my coach told me, he's like, don't worry about the weight cut, because like we were saying earlier, you're not making any money, so why drain yourself? Why try to put yourself in a really bad setting? So I didn't really cut much weight. I think I cut 6-7 pounds, and yeah, I know I felt great in there, and yeah, it was nice.
And you being obviously with the frame that you have, are you looking to and what I mean by frame, because you're tall, like, have you, like, is the process going forward in the future, are you looking to put more muscle on, or are you looking to maintain your shape? What are your plans for the future?
Definitely just maintain where I'm at right now. I like my frame and my weight right now. I think 185 is a great weight class for me at the moment. I think once I get into 195, the guys are just a little too big, and then I wouldn't want to cut down to 175 because I just think it's just too much for me. So just want to stay where I'm at right now physically, and just keep doing what I'm doing, and just hopefully get more opportunities to step in the ring soon.
Well, and it's crazy with boxing, and if we're talking, I mean, just the big shows, like, it's crazy how many weight classes there are, and then you go and you shift over to MMA, and it's wild how you only have so many weight classes, and they're so vague. Like, I feel like there's an issue with a lot of guys that, especially in MMA, where they're kind of stuck between fighting at 155 and 170. And there's this problem where there's a lot of guys, like, for example, shout out to George St. Pierre. He was kind of a guy that he could make 155. He never initially went to 155, but he did do it. After he retired, he apparently did it for fun, which is, he's a wild man. But he's one of those guys that was just slightly small for 170, which he still fucked a lot of guys up. But I feel like if there was like a 165 class, that would have been great for him. That would have been perfect. And there's a lot of guys that would have fallen in that section, and unfortunately, they've never really made that weight class in that promotion, or really any promotion that I can think of. So it's just absolutely wild that they haven't done it.
Yeah, no, I think the word you're looking for is tweeners. There's a lot of guys that are in between two weight classes. Yeah. Like Jorge Masvidal, he was like too big for 155 and maybe not big enough for the guys at 170. I know Colby Covington is like a 170er that probably doesn't cut any weight, so he probably would be good at 150 or could make it 155. Probably doesn't want to, so like 165 would be a good weight class for him. Like the amount of fighters that between 155 and 170 that could like be in a weight class in between that is probably insane.
Well, and the thing is too, like, there's no secret that everybody likes to cut a little bit of weight to kind of have that weight advantage. Everyone likes to kind of likes to, obviously,
weight bully.
If you got no problem training, 10, 15 pounds, and then go nuts. I think that's a game for everybody, and I don't think it's a bad thing. But I mean, then there's always that talk of like why everybody cut weight when everyone should just fight at the weight that they normally walk at and weigh, and have no weigh-ins, or weigh in at what you walk around at and then fight. It's wild how, I'm certain that there's a lot of guys that could be fighting like 3 or like 2 weight classes up at their normal walk around weight. But then at the end of the day, there's obviously weight classes for a reason. Like, if people can make a weight, then let them make the weight. It's wild to just watch some of the weight cuts that people endure and go through. I just find it's wild, and I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. I mean, I did a little bit of weight cut myself, and that was nothing. So, shout out to the guys.
Yeah. So
even yourself that actually are making that weight.
Well, how much when you did your bodybuilding contest, was that like? Did you cut a lot?
So, the thing is, like, this is going back, like 2 years. Yeah, this would be going back to 2 years, 2.5 years, and so I think it was about 162, on the Friday, and then obviously it was cutting out. Like, I've been kind of consistently cutting water weight throughout the week and carbing up at the same time. But the night before, or the day before, the night before, and the morning of, I was still flushing myself with diuretics, and I think by I'm ahead of myself. So by that night, I weighed in that night, because you had to weigh in that night, and they didn't really weigh anybody by weight at that point because of how many people were in the show. Put that in perspective, there was probably 90% all women in the show, and there was 10% men. So there's probably, I would tell you, there's probably 10 guys, and there's probably easily 30 girls there. It was insane. But for me, anyway, to answer your question, I think I weighed in at like 157, and I remember that night before, I just weighed myself for shits and gigs. My coach usually would ask, but he just asked for the morning of. And the night before, I was like 163. So it wasn't anything significant, because for our weight cutting for bodybuilding, it's not so much to make a weight. It is, if you have to make a particular weight class, depending on what the show is. But it's more to drain the fluid from the muscles in your organs, so the muscles pop out, right? And that's more the reasons why you cut the water weight. But yeah, I didn't have much, but I mean, I definitely, that whole day, because I still couldn't drink any water even during the day. So I did all the weight cutting. I did the weight, and then going on stage, I didn't even get to drink anything. Even during the whole show, even during the pre-show, because you have the pre-judging, and then you have like your main show at the end of the night. And entire time I didn't even get to drink any water then. And then my coach says, okay, you can go get yourself a burger and fries. And I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. But my mouth was so dry, I could get through my food. He's like, what's taking you so long? I'm like, the shit's dry, man. I can't eat anything. So he let me have a little bit of ketchup and whatnot. So that was kind of nice. But yeah, man, it was kind of crazy to now that I think about it. But yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely like one crazy experience. Like a lot of people don't realize like what bodybuilders go through just to step on that stage, right? Similar to fighting, right? It's kind of, they got some similarities when it comes to prep and weight cutting and dieting.
Yeah, you know what, man? Like looking back on it, I would love to do another show. In terms of like at that time, probably not now, but at the time after the show and the highs of being on stage and the highs of the whole process and the crazy process. I mean, it's like a year process if you do it every year. But for me, at the time I was like, yeah, I'd love to do another show. Yeah, this be awesome. Like not immediately after, because I was hungry and I was tired, I was grumpy and all that. But I mean, like the day after, I was like, man, I could do another show. My wife's looking at me like, no, you're not. If you want to get married, you're not gonna do another show. And that was kind of our promise. She said, I'll get married to you, but you're not doing another show after this. Because I honestly, the prep that I went through was really hard. And I'm not looking for, shoulder to cry on, because it's hard for everybody. But for me, it was really difficult because of my frame and it was my first time and I didn't know what to expect. And also, granted, the work that I was in, I was working a lot of overtime. It was really difficult for her as well, because of what I was going through. And then because of what I was going through, she was going through it with me. Honestly, I was doing the prep, but she was also in there with me. Right. So she had to deal with a lot of bullshit as well. Like she had to deal with me being grumpy, or, me having, almost no libido. Like especially at the end, like I got nothing. I got no energy. She would ask me, hey, do you want to get up and go do something? My ass is laying on the couch like, nah, I'm good. Like I'm tired. My legs are exhausted. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things. And I mean, going and comparing that to fighters, I can only imagine what fighters have to go through. I mean, me, I just had to worry about, tearing my muscles up and doing a shitload of cardio. But these fighters, I mean, even like yourself, you guys are sparring, you guys are hitting up pads, like you guys are training, like you're not just, this is your livelihood. So respect to fighters. And when you do any kind of competition, you gain a little bit of understanding, but also respect for what, athletes have to go through.
100%. Like you were saying, like having a good support system. Like I got my girlfriend right here.
Hi.
She's
there you go. She's making her debut as well.
Yeah, awesome. we got our dog here too, Harley. He's chilling. It's good having a nice support system, because you're not gonna, when you're prepping for something, you're not gonna be yourself. Like Bella could say to me, like when I was prepping for my last fight, she noticed the mood changes. She noticed me locking in, and like the commitments you got to make. I can't go to gatherings. Like I'm not gonna drink alcohol. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna do anything like that. Like it's the sacrifices you have to take if you want to win, right?
And I think that's just it, right? Like and that's like you're seeing the shift in fighters about like what, like there's, every fighter has a chance to win, every fighter has a chance to do something and be great, but you see many fighters having this crazy training and showing, like kind of leading the steps of what you need to do to really pull yourself apart from the rest of the pack, right? Like it's crazy how you have these guys that are showing these ways of like, like, no, you can't drink, you can't do these things. Like, and you got other fighters to say, well, fuck you, I'm gonna do whatever I want. And then you kind of see the end result. It might work for a while until it catches up with you in the end.
For sure. There's definitely guys that have had success, being a degenerate and still went on to win the fight. But I'd rather be safe than sorry. And, so.
Mm-hmm. Now, for you, how's Toronto living? I know that the rent is crazy in Toronto. There's no secret, we're in recession, and I hear a lot of people like coming from the Toronto and in the GTA area, they're moving over here and buying houses here because they said the rent and just the cost of living here is just freaking insane. So, I mean, what is it like over there?
It's definitely
Fill me in.
expensive, but I work hard, and that's why I'm able to afford living out here. But I really enjoy it. I'm from a small town, and I grew up with not a lot of opportunities, so I moved out here for the opportunity to work at the cricket club, and it's fun. Like, nightlife is fun. I love live sports and live events. Like, I've been to so many Jays, Leafs, Raptors games. I saw Russell Peters a couple of months ago. And I actually saw, I don't know if you know MMA Roasted, Adam Hunter. I saw him live. That was really funny.
Oh, that's really cool.
He was super good. So just going to events, like we were at Jake Paul's MVP prospects fights on Friday night. That's my favorite part about living out here, is just going to live events. And honestly, I actually have a lot of good friends that I grew up with that ended up in the city too. So it's I still got a lot of close friends out here. It's not like I'm by myself or anything. My roommate of mine, we've been friends since we were 10 years old. So it's great. Yeah. And I've also met so many cool people out here too. I really enjoy it out here. It's fun. I think being in your 20s in downtown Toronto is one of the best decisions you can make. But obviously it's not the case for everyone. So, and I know a lot of people I grew up with, they don't like the city. They don't like, the noise, the bright lights and all that stuff. So it's not for everyone, but for myself, I really enjoy it.
I think if you're bred for it and you can enjoy it, then it's the place for you. My wife and I, we went to Toronto a couple of years ago, and we went to a Leafs game when they played the Blackhawks, and it's really cool to go to Toronto, right? Like, for me, I'm not a city guy. I never been a city boy. I mean, I grew up in Chatham, Ontario, so I guess I lived in a city, but that's not a city when you compare it to Toronto, right?
Way different.
But for me, I never lived in the country, and where we're living now, we live in Corunna, Ontario, and it's just right on the river by the U.S. And it's such a small town, just out, and it's like a little small town just outside Sarnia, and Sarnia is kind of like a city, right? And for me, it's crazy how once you move somewhere, because you said that you moved to Toronto, right? So for me, I moved from Chatham, that was much bigger, to a small little place. Actually, first it was Courtright, which is just downriver from Corunna, but then we finally moved into Corunna. And honestly, I feel like sometimes you move somewhere and you just realize that's where I should have been the whole time. And for me, that's kind of the same thing, man. I moved to Corunna and I realized man, it was right for me. And like you said, it might not be for everybody, but man, I will tell you, I'm so happy here. It's just a nice little town, man. And that's what I like. I like having those close knit small towns, and it's not like a hick town by any means, but it's a nice little spot where it's kind of growing, but it's not growing too much. And I like it because I have Sarnia I can go to. I obviously travel for my work, so I work somewhere one of the places I work at is about 15 minutes down the road, and then the other half my full-time work is actually a couple minutes away from my house, so it's kind of nice, man. It's funny when you find a place that works for you. It's cool. It's hard to leave, or hard to get away from there. So but for me to elaborate on Toronto, I really enjoyed visiting there. It's really cool. It's neat. I like the idea of because we went to the Christmas market, and it was really cool. Yeah, with a big Christmas tree and everything. It was really neat because you can't see that everywhere. And I know it's Toronto, but it sounds like I'm talking about Europe here, but we are just talking about Toronto, and it's cool. You don't get to see that every day. And it was neat. It was something different for my wife and I, and it was really cool. It was neat, and I really enjoyed it, but I couldn't do it all the time, especially with the traffic, man. I don't know how people do it with the traffic. You can clearly see that it's normal. You get people yelling at each other, and it's crazy, man.
Commuting is not fun. Being in bumper-to-bumper traffic is not fun. But yeah, that's definitely, there's some little things you can't just parking is one of the things I hate the most. You really can't drive and park anywhere. There's barely anywhere to park. So that, coming from a small town where if I wanted to go to the grocery store, I could park there, go and get back my car, drive back home in 10, 15 minutes. You can't do that in Toronto. It's just not like that. So little things like that, you got to adjust. A lot of people, public transportation is a big thing here too. The buses, getting used to the TTC and all that kind of stuff too. So.
Yeah, and I guess like for me, if I don't think I could live in Toronto, also for the reason that I don't have patience when I'm driving. Unfortunately, I mean I do. I have a little bit of patience, and then after that, it's like come on, and I start throwing the hands up in the air, and I couldn't do it in Toronto. I feel like somebody would jump my ass after that point. I've been running my mouth way too much.
Yeah, there's some really bad drivers. Like I'll be driving to work and every other day I look out and be like, how did that guy get his license? Like that, he shouldn't be on the road, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, man. So I know that you're really into boxing, but have you been catching up on MMA like UFC lately? Did you get a
Of
chance to
course.
watch Alex Pereira's fight this weekend?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
That was I mean, I'm a big Poetan fan. Like, how can you not be a fan of that guy?
Oh,
He's just
freaking
an
wicked,
unbelievable
man.
fighter. I knew that fight with Ankalaev, that was going to be his toughest test by far. But I thought it was going to be a 50-50 fight going in. And yeah, it was kind of hard to watch him on the back foot most of the fight.
Mm-hmm.
And but one thing for that surprised me was his takedown defense was amazing. I think he stuffed 11 all of his takedown attempts. I think there's 11 total, so that was a good sign. But yeah, it's just it kind of sucks when a superstar loses his belt. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, so you brought up about how you saw the fight prior, or how you thought you would like how you envisioned the fight prior to watching it, and I had a couple people ask me what they thought, you know, who you got, who you got. And I'm like, honestly, I got Ankalaev, and I love Potan. All right, so
Yeah.
I love Alex Pereira. He's been really, he had a great career in Glory with kickboxing over there. He did a lot of great things, and given his age, I don't think he doesn't look like he's slowed down with his age. I'm not going to base off of one performance, but in like when I looked at the matchup, it's pretty clear. You would think you're gonna take Alex Pereira, like he's gonna knock the guy's ass out. I mean, you know, I think Ankalaev probably doesn't have the stand up to fight this guy. But I thought more about him, like, but you see, this is one of those matchups where it should be pretty clear that, you know, someone like Alex Pereira should be able to beat him on the feet. And he honestly, he had some good shots. And if you compare the two on the feet, Alex Pereira is still the superior striker and the kickboxer. Okay. But
Yeah.
how I saw it was this is one of those fights where you got a guy that whose threat of takedowns is so real that if you have just enough good stand up, if you can have some really good stand up that can compensate for that. And I think you don't have to, and when you analyze wrestlers in MMA, you don't have to take the guy down. But what you have to do is you do it enough to break the guy's rhythm, and you're doing it enough. And if you have good striking, the guys, Alex Pereira, I think the reason why he backed up is he's always expecting to get taken down. And sometimes, as much as you use the cage as a wrestler as a guy to put people down on the feet, sometimes if you get taken down in the middle of the octagon, it's actually, and you get taken down, it's much harder to get up. Whereas you get against cage, you have a little bit of something to hold you back. And I think that's why Alex Pereira kept getting back, was getting backed up. It was a threat the takedown. And so when I saw this fight, I'm thinking this is going to be one of those situations where Ankalaev, yeah, he doesn't have the striking, but I think he's going to use the takedowns and get close, and he's going to do things like hold him against cage. I get it. The fans didn't like it, and I understand that.
Yeah,
but looking at it as but it was smart, and he knew I'm okay, and I don't think he was okay winning a fight by decision because the threat of and the commentators talked about it. Joe Rogan talked about it. He said the threat of the getting knocked out is there for sure, and that's why I think a lot of fighters back up with Alex Pereira because they're worried to get in an exchange, and rightfully so. I get that. And so I think with Alex Pereira, this is two fights where, granted that he did knock out Kale Roundtree Jr., but at the end of the day, even in that fight, nobody saw him getting taken into round 4, round 5, whatever the fight was stopped at. I don't think anybody saw that, envisioned that happening. And then you get another fight here where I'm not saying Alex Pereira didn't look good, but he didn't seem like he really had much to offer in this fight. So, and I mean, he also almost got dropped as well. He landed against the cage. So
was it the end of round 3 that happened when he got?
It might have been round 2. Yeah, I think round 2 or round 3. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a close call. He almost got saved by the bell there. Yeah, he did get saved by the bell. Sorry.
Yeah, so those are already two fights where either is it the competition are starting to figure the fighters out, or we starting to see that shift where the age is going to start to catch up to them, or there's a lot of things. And I don't like to jump to conclusions as an analyst at home on my couch. I don't like to be the couch analyst here, but like looking at a fighter, I saw with Israel Adesanya. I'm almost confident that he's probably he's going towards the end of his career. In my opinion, he could be because I saw the same thing with Adesanya after he got knocked out by Pereira. There was a shift where yes, he got this belt back and all that. He knocked him out. That was great, but then he lost against Sean Strickland, and then he lost against I'm trying to. The last title fight he won DDP. Yeah, Drakus. And then he lost. And then he actually looked good in that fight. But again, he fought Drakus Duplessis, who's got a weird style, and somehow he wins fights.
Yeah, I saw him at 290. I was at the UFC event at 297 watching him live.
Yeah,
that was a crazy fight, him and Strickland, the first one.
Yeah, and actually, I'll get to that in a second. And yeah, and then you saw him lose against him the way he did. It almost like he just had nothing to answer back with, but he got his neck taken. That was the end of that. And then he lost that last fight. So you're starting to see the shift in these guys. And sometimes maybe I'm wrong, but sometimes you watch these guys and you start to see a shift where is the age catching up to you, or granted, let's not forget that Adesanya and also Pereira, they've had long careers in kickboxing, and those 70-something fights catch up to you.
And they're also in their mid to late 30s now.
Exactly.
It does catch up to you for sure.
Yeah, and you have that window of a couple of years to really be in your prime. So it's crazy to kind of see that. But I mean, yeah, and then shout out to DDP. I mean, that guy, I'm going to tell you right now, I never doubted that guy for a second. He's been nothing, but he's gotten better and better, and he keeps doubting people wrong. Like even his last fight with Sean Strickland, like I thought there was times where I was like, okay, this is the end. And like he came out with Sean Strickland and just shut his whole program down. And shout to him as well. Like that's another fighter that I really respect, who not only is he's good, he's entertaining to watch. He's never really been in a bad fight, but he's also a guy that I respect as a fighter and as a person,
Yeah, and I've talked to some friends. He's arguably like maybe the best fighter on the mic right now. Like he broke down Sean Strickland, he broke down Izzy before their fight, and he's like, you want to watch him at the press conferences because he's always got something to say now.
Well, and the thing is, like with him, he's not a direct trash talker, right? So you got someone like Colby Covington, who obviously it's so forced, and for him, obviously, at the end of the day, we all know it's all BS because it's obvious. He likes to do the whole WWE approach, and that's fine. That's cool. It is actually entertaining. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of funny. But I feel like you got a lot of guys that, like Connor, clearly would try to get in people's heads, and there was no doubt about it. Whereas DDP, it's kind of sneaky the way he does it. Like, yes, he's trying to sell the fight, but sometimes the way he like words it, or the way he just catches people in that little snare,
Yeah, he'll hit them with like something that's personal for them. It'll be like a quick little inside joke or something, and the next thing you know, like Izzy's crying.
Hell break loose. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's insane. Yeah, he's a sneaky good trash talker, and I'm interested to see if him and Hamza, if that fight gets booked, and see how he does against him, because a lot of people I think are assuming that Hamza would win that fight.
Well, and you would assume, right? But like everybody assumed that with Sean Strickland, everyone assumed that with Israel Adesanya, and look where he's at. A fight with Hamza, it's a clear it's a very good possibility that he would get submitted in the first round. I mean, you look at Hamza and he is a freaking monster.
I mean, look what he did to Robert Whittaker.
Exactly right. However, where I find where that can also lead him is that he gasses out and he ain't prepared for a 5-round fight. I guarantee you, he's going to go in for a title fight and he's going to try his best to put DDP down quick. I don't think that. I think Drake Duplessis actually has pretty good wrestling and jiu-jitsu, so that guy can like fight all day.
I mean, he can go 5 rounds. We've seen it the past few fights. So,
and Khamzat Chimaev, I don't think he can go 5 rounds. I think he's gonna tire out.
Yeah, like in his fight against Usman, that 3rd round, he was looking pretty tired, and Usman was like kind of coming along that 3rd round. The first 2 rounds, he dominated. Don't get me wrong, but like that 3rd round, he was looking tired.
Yeah, but however, with Drake Duplessis having a weird style, I mean, he could throw something out of his arsenal that we don't know about, and then he clips Khamzat, and then he goes out in round 2. I'm calling it right now.
I mean, bet the house. No,
no, I can't bet the house. Honestly, anytime I bet anything, I never win. So it's better that I just I bet with my loonies and toonies, and that's it. I'm not going out. I'm not putting any $100 bill or anything out there. I'm too broke for that shit.
Nah, same here, man. I'm not. Every time I do that, I end up just losing money. So I just try to just enjoy the fights, and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, man. And then also on Saturday night, we got to see Justin Gaethje back, and he looked pretty good. It seems like Justin Gaethje still fucks. So I think it's really cool to see that, he's not completely done yet. But also Rafael Fiziev, like he came out there. Like, I think he had, I feel like, maybe in a 5-round fight, obviously he was slowing down, but he really showed something. And Justin Gaethje, man, the fact that he's still number 3 for this long, and it just seems like he has this weird career, but he's so close to the title, and he fights for a title and loses, and then he wins a couple of really weird, important fights, and then just comes back, and he's kind of stuck in the mud almost in number 3 there.
Yeah, he's just, I think since he's been in the UFC, he's been top 5, I'm pretty sure, the entire time. And by far, for me, he's always must watch. He's so entertaining. Highlight reel KOs or just extremely entertaining fights. And it was nice to see him get back in the win column after that knockout loss to Max Holloway. But yeah, he proved on Saturday night that he's still in the mix.
Well, and it's crazy how you have fighters like that. And if you think about when he first came in the UFC, we're talking like at least this is before 2019. So we're
like going 2017, back I think.
Maybe 2017, and like
when he fought Michael Johnson.
Yeah, if that's 2017, we're talking 3 years. Like that's like 8 years ago. 8 years in the top. He's been at least in the top 10 for 8 years. Like that's wild. To be able to do something like that is just insane.
I'll never forget his fight versus Tony Ferguson. Like, I know a lot of people doubted him in that one, but he looked good, and that was the first fight post-COVID, so no fans in there, and you could just hear the shots he was throwing at Tony, throwing everything he could, and Tony just ate like all of them, didn't go down. So it was.
I think that was the fight that Tony, I think, put the CTE on him. I think like that was the fight that finished Tony Ferguson, because I think it was a long time coming, because Tony, even when his downfall started, he wasn't like, I don't think he was at that age where I was like, oh, okay, maybe you need to hang him up. Like, he still was at that age where I think he still could throw, but I think it was just those fights where he just kept coming forward, and granted that, hey, he could take a shot. Like, after a while, you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah, he took a lot of damage in that fight. Like, that was a life-changing or career-changing. Well, definitely was a career-changing fight.
It was a career change for sure. And the fact that now he's going to that new promotion with Global is insanity.
GFL,
I don't know why the guy still fights. I mean, I get it. Like, talking with Shorty a lot, he's really taught me a lot about, with fighters and how they just can't retire, whether some can't afford to.
And that's what I was saying earlier. Like, that feeling when you're in the ring, like, I understand now after doing my fight back in October, like, that's what, and it's such a good feeling. Like, that's, now I understand why all these guys want to fight all the time, because they love that rush. They love the adrenaline rush of being in there.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it, right? Like, and that's why, even like, with as much as we all can start with the Connor jokes and whatnot, him not coming back, or he's gonna come back, or he's just gonna fuck off somewhere. Like, it's with him, like, even with him, with all the crazy stuff he says, I'm gonna come back, I'm gonna do this, and everyone's like, sure, Connor. But even with him, granted everything that's happened with him on the side outside the UFC, like, I understand the passion's still there. I honestly do think that he wakes up every day saying, you know what, I want to get a fight, but it's because of the money. It's because of all the crap that's going on. I don't know his personal life, in detail, but it's that drive that, there's that feeling to want to compete, even with all the money that he's got. Like, there's something part of it, and you summed up well. Like, there's something there that just you want to do, and that's why these guys get so emotional when they retire. Like, you look at Robbie Lawler, with him like sobbing over his tribute. Mind you, it was a great tribute, but I mean, the fact that being an emotional man, like, that's it right there just tells you everything you need to know about a life of a fighter, especially after a great career that he's had. And that's why a lot of those guys get emotional, because it is hard to leave the sport. It's hard to know that you can no longer compete, and and knowing that you got to walk away from something that you love to do, but you have to.
Well, that's the thing. When fighters stop and retire, like, all they've done is just eat, sleep, train, and repeat for 10, 15, 20 years. When you stop and then realize, oh, I don't have to go to the gym, I don't have to go to jiu-jitsu, I don't have to go to boxing, and you have all this free time, like, they get lost, So that structure of always being in camp and always having like some kind of program to deal with whether it's like preparing for a fight or something like that, when that's gone, it's hard for a lot of people. And that's why you see guys retire and come back all the time, because they're like, okay, well, I just, it doesn't feel right for them when they don't have any structure in their life.
Well, and that's it. And then it's almost like the idea of like they don't have, because some of these fighters, like, that's what they grew up with, was fighting, and it was maybe their destiny wasn't to go to a 9-to-5 job, right?
Exactly.
That you could have a salary with, right? Like, and you have your benefits, whatnot. No, a lot of these guys went into something that was an opportunity for them, and they realized they could use this maybe more than this.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how a lot of those guys, and that's why it's so hard to walk away, because once you get out of that realm of what then you realize, like, you don't have the purpose, you don't know what to do with yourself. Mind you, granted, to the guys that like go back to doing coaching, obviously you got Perez coach there. I mean, he was a champ at 42 years old, and then he finally retired after his fight with Hill. It's crazy how like with Glover there, like, it's crazy, like with him, great opportunity for him, because he can still be involved in the sport, but he knows, I'm done, right? But he can still be involved. He's still training. He's still going out there and helping the new generation, or helping his prodigy, I guess we want to call him.
Yeah, that's what a lot of those guys do. They start gyms, they start coaching. They're still around the sport when they know they can't fight. But I think that's probably like the smartest thing to do, because starting a whole new career post fighting is probably very difficult for many of the MMA or boxers.
100%. So I wanted to read this quickly. So I probably an hour or two before we started this thing. So I'm going through my feed, and Conor McGregor put something out on his feed, and I'm just gonna read it. So he put something on the concert thing with the Limp Bizkit concert, and he says, like, he's going to Limp Bizkit in Ireland tomorrow. I'll be banging in the center of the mosh pit if anyone's looking for their jaw broke and their teeth sent. And I'm just thinking, like, can you just imagine the video coming out with him in the mosh pit, and he starts getting into a fight, or things get out of hand? I can see it right now. Something's going to come out. He's going to get involved. He's going to do something stupid. It's going to be on video. And at this point, I kind of feel almost embarrassed for the guy, but at the same time, it's actually kind of funny. Like, the last video I watched, and I was like, dude, like a bro moment. You look at him like bro with a question mark. Like, I think it was a video, and I watched this back in October, or it was like somewhere in October last year. And I'm in the hotel room with my wife and my in-laws, and there's a video of him. It was after one of the events at Bare Knuckle Boxing, and he was like, he was dancing around with a beer in his hand with his wife, and I think it was one of the champs, like a female champ. I don't know her very well. She had like a long ponytail thing going on, and he's like pulling on her ponytail, and then he realizes D's like sitting or like standing right beside him, and he's like playing it off, like he's like, and then grabs at her hair like, oh, I'm just kidding, baby. You know what I mean? Like, it's you kind of see this stuff, and you gotta think, like, man, like, dude, you're lucky that your wife ain't like throwing your ass to the street, man. Like, it's crazy. I
mean, when you're worth $500 million, that kind of helps. But
it does kind of help. I mean, you don't want to say that she's after you for your money.
No,
but
she's
I don't know.
I'll say is a real one. She's been there since day one. You can't say she's a clout chaser or anything like that. But and now they have like 4 or 5 kids too. So
yeah,
but
5.
Yeah, something like that. But I mean, it's hard for when you go from being a guy on welfare to a guy that has that much money, that much accomplishments. Excuse me. It's yeah, it's been tough watching Connor the past couple of years. Everyone wants to see him fight, but in all honesty, like he doesn't need to fight. He's accomplished so much. He changed the UFC, brought so many new eyes to it. If he retired and was completely serious, I would be very, very happy for him. But I think he just likes the limelight. He likes the attention, and he knows no matter what, he's still the biggest name in the UFC, even when he's not fighting. So, and to be fair, like him promoting bare knuckle has been hilarious. Like he's actually really good at it. I hope like it kind of looks like he's on. Everyone always makes jokes saying he's on cocaine and stuff, but and it does kind of look like that. So, but like other than that, like I've seen interviews with David Feldman and stuff, and they're saying that he's doing an extraordinary job promoting and doing way more than what he agreed for. So, and I mean, bare knuckle, it's on the rise right now. I think people have said it's the #2 combat sport right now. It's crazy.
It is. It's cool.
Extremely fun to watch. Always KOs almost in every fight. And you're seeing some big names. Like, I don't know if you saw, I heard, I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but I think I read that Big Ben Rothwell just won the heavyweight title. Yeah. And I think
yes, he did.
Fedor is apparently going to fight him next.
I heard something about Connor trying to like promote it, like, hey Fedor, where are you? You know, like I don't know, like if it was just him like making a joke, like, come on Fedor, like in a weird way, like trying to get him to some of the promotion, or he was like hinting at something. But I think that would be really cool. But I mean, Fedor, come on, like probably shouldn't be bare knuckle boxing.
Yeah, and I doubt Fedor needs the money either. But like that goes back to the point where like they love fighting. You can't take the fighter out of someone like that, especially a legend like him. They just love they love to compete, and that's it. And that's where that structure comes from. I think he's been coaching. There's a lot of guys. I think he's a gym out there, but he probably thinks it'd be an interesting opportunity. I don't know what I think of that, considering his age, and I don't think he's fought in a while. So that would be hopefully it wouldn't be a tough watch, because I think Big Ben's last fight, he absolutely flatlined his opponent. So
yeah, well, and that's crazy thing about bare knuckle boxing is there's like, you look at Mike Perry, okay, I don't think in terms of MMA he was ever probably going to be a champion, and I say that with respect, and I don't mean that in terms of like maybe he could be a champion. I'm not saying anybody has the opportunity, everyone has a chance, right?
Yeah.
But the fact is that the way his style is, I just don't know if he would have been able to be the champion in an MMA organization. Maybe not, certainly maybe not UFC. However, you look at bare knuckle boxing, the way he fights is perfect for bare knuckle boxing. The way they box, the way they fight is perfect for him. That's why he's been so successful. And he is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not throwing out his excuse like, well, he's good because of this. No, his fighting style is designed exactly for dirty kind of boxing. And that's what bare knuckle boxing is all about. And that's why he's been so successful. And he's done so well. Like, could anybody look back and look at a guy like Mike Perry and see where he would have been, 4 or 5 years ago? No, like I don't think anybody would have saw this. And it's been a great opportunity for him. And
he really changed his career and his life around with bare knuckle. But I feel like a lot of these MMA guys that are brawlers are having a lot of success, like Jeremy Stevens. I mean,
same thing.
He just had a great fight against Eddie Alvarez, a huge win for him. He was almost, and now he's changing his career around in bare knuckles. So, yeah, we're seeing all these guys that were like, they were in the loop in the UFC, maybe not championship material, moving over to bare knuckle and having extreme success. It's been very interesting to watch.
Yeah, and bare knuckle boxing, and it sucks because, man, like every time they have the event, I'm destined to watch it, and then something comes up and I don't watch it. But it's kind of cool to watch, and it's always exciting because there's always like something's gonna happen. It's always bloody. There's always violence, and then See, the thing is, when it comes to MMA, and I'm just gonna throw UFC out there because it's the biggest promotion out there, but get some fights where the wrestling, if you understand wrestling, understand MMA wrestling,
and jiu-jitsu,
you have the respect for it, and you can watch and think, okay, if he does this, or you can kind of watch the fight and know, okay, this is great, and there's actually really good movement on the ground. But then you get a lot of fights where the guys aren't doing anything, and the boos start from the crowd and whatnot, and for in that aspect, I get the booing. But then you go to bare knuckle boxing, and you don't really have a choice, but you have to throw, and it's really cool for that. And I think that's why it's gained so much, because he's slowly gaining that recognizable names, and them making a name for themselves and having that resurgence in their careers. And I think that's why they've been so successful. And it's just cool. I mean, it's something different, and I mean, it's legal, and I mean, bare knuckle boxing, I never thought I'd see the day, but here we are, in 2025. So, or whatever year it started. I think 2022, whatever it was, 23.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna pick a date in the last couple of years.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know, first time I remember seeing it was Artem Lobov versus Jason Knight had a crazy fight.
Oh man, that was a classic.
Yeah, that's when it first kind of came on the scene for me. And I was like, what is this? And it was kind of like, at that time, I felt about that bare knuckle, about how I feel about power slap. I'm like, why would you want to do that? But then it grew on me, and it's like, okay, like it's like boxing. It's super, they legalized it in a bunch of states. It's a sport. Yeah. There's referees, all that stuff. And it's extremely fast paced too. That's another thing compared to like regular boxing. You might have a few rounds where people are just measuring distance and throwing their jabs. Bare knuckle boxing, that bell rings, and they are getting after it immediately. So
yeah, they're stepping in the dog shit right away, and they're just starting to throw for the fence. It's crazy.
They are going for the KO right away. Within seconds, someone has a black eye or they're bleeding. I got to give a lot of respect to people willing to do that, because like that compared to boxing is just insane.
Well, have you seen the video? It was an interview with one of the ladies that fought on her bare knuckle boxing. And I mean, she looked like she was.
Yeah, I've seen it. She looks like an alien.
She literally, everything poofed up. Like, she's swollen everywhere, like lost a couple teeth and whatnot. And she's going on talking about this fight like she just got done a sports match, like a fun little game somewhere. Like she didn't get beat up or whatever. Like, it's the fact that you can take that kind of damage. Granted, I know a lot of it in the heat of the moment, and a lot of it, the adrenaline's coming through, but you just got the holy shit kicked out of you, and you're taking an interview and everything, and you're good to go. Like, I mean, like I like, if anybody watches that and realizes like that's from bare knuckle boxing, you got to think like, why the hell would I get into that?
You see some of them and you think like they just got hit by a car or something. Like, it's the damage is crazy.
And I don't think they put any Vaseline on their hands either. I don't know if they do.
Did you see when Bryce Hall, like the TikToker YouTuber guy, did it?
Yeah.
That was crazy. Like, you know what? I know celebrity boxing is a big thing, Misfits boxing, Jake Paul's doing that stuff. But like, I gave him a lot of respect for stepping in there against I think he fought a guy that was like 3-0 bare knuckle when he won. Like, that's
insane. Like, and that is respect right there.
Yeah, huge respect. That guy probably has millions of dollars, has no need to step in the ring and do that, and he stepped in there and won. Like, it was insane. I couldn't believe it.
Well, and so shout out to Jose Shorty Torres again. We talked about Misfits boxing, and we kind of talked about it gets ridiculous when you get YouTubers boxing, you get Jake Paul boxing, it's all BS at the end of the day. However, like, as a fighter perspective, and when you really think about it, he's talking about, he's like, hell yeah, sign me up. I'll beat up some YouTuber for X amount of money at Misfits boxing. Sure, why not? Like, he was at one in Houston, and he's like, yeah, sure. And he almost got a fight. I don't know what happened. Yeah, apparently he almost got a fight. And I don't know exactly what the situation was, someone pulled out or whatever, but I guess he was possibly gonna get signed up to do a fight or something. It didn't happen, obviously.
How'd your relationship start with him? Because that's pretty cool to, talking to a high level fighter on a regular basis.
Well, yeah. So how it all started. So with MMA Unhinged, I think I did interview him a lot of years ago when I was doing the whole Empire Universe thing on my own before you actually jumped on. But I think I had interviewed him then, and that was just a one and done thing because I was interviewing a lot of people. I wasn't trying to stay consistent with certain individuals. And then jump forward to with MMA Unhinged, I had given him an interview with his second fight with Nkosi Debelli. I think it was his second fight when he fought him the second time. And then from there, I interviewed him again for his third fight, and I really enjoyed the interview that I did with him when he had his second fight of that trilogy fight that he had under Brave. And then I was like, you know what? Like, and then I had the third fight, and I was like, this guy's got great energy. I really flow well with him. He seems like a great guy. And we've been kind of looking for someone to kind of do a weekly show with. Well, I say weekly, and then it was like being like bi-weekly, but we wanted to do a weekly show with like a MMA fighter and someone who, has been there a while, who's got a name, and someone, it just has a personality and likes to just shoot the shit and just have a good time. And Shorty's an easygoing guy. And I was like, you know what? So after the interview, I pulled him aside, and I think he was just waiting there, maybe waiting for me to close up the interview. I said to him, hold on for a second. He says, man, like after this fight, man, like I think I'd love to do like a weekly show with you or something if you're interested. I know you're focused on your fight. He's like, yeah, no, that'd be great. And then, yeah, we obviously waited for him to have his fight, and obviously things didn't go well for him. So I waited a little bit after. I'm like, I don't know how this guy's mentally going to be. Like, I don't want to like bother the guy. And yeah, man. Actually, no, sorry. I might have lied. Did I? Oh, no, sorry. We okay. So I think I can't remember. I can't remember if it was. No, sorry. We did talk about doing the show, and then he said, yeah, like if you want to do things on your end and whatnot, and then we'll go from there. And then so we came up with the name, and he was cool with it. And then I started promoting his fight on the new on our new Instagram page, and that's how it everything kind of started. And then right from there, then once we started doing the show together, we just started doing it, and we did a couple of people that he's known. We had a couple people that we interviewed together as kind of as a podcast or as a show. And we did that for a number of weeks, and then we just got kind of busy. He's actually he's in Mexico right now. He's training one of his training partners, and hello there.
Hey, and sorry, he's just licking me.
No worries. And he's over there in Mexico training one of his partners, Lazy Boy Rodriguez there. And he's going to be fighting at UFC Mexico soon. So he's been over there, but I think he just went back to Chicago like a couple days ago for something. I don't know why. So he's over there right now. I've been trying to get a new episode out with him, but I've been so busy, and I'm actually going on vacation myself soon to Florida. So we've been both been kind of busy, so we're hoping to get the show back up and do a couple episodes. And I enjoy just having a chat with him. It's great times. He just fought at Risen, so it's been really, really cool, and it's been good times. It's good times chatting with him, and I actually want to have him on here, as just because we've been knowing each other for a long time, so it'd be cool to have him on my show, and actually maybe not even talk about anything MMA related, just go on about life and bullshit and whatnot, and it'd be great. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, man, it's been really cool. And I actually, prior to doing that, I had a couple fighters that I was originally going to try to do a weekly show with. I know I had I'm trying to think of, he was fighting under Bellator. Rufion Stotts, he was a name that was coming up. That would have been sick. Yeah, Rufion Stotts. He was a guy. Actually, him and Shorty know each other as well. But he was another guy, another bantamweight, obviously, and that I was gonna. Great fighter. Great fighter, and I was gonna have him on.
Well, he seems hilarious. So yeah, that would be a great guy to have a podcast. He's hilarious.
With. Yeah, lots of energy and whatnot. But unfortunately, I was chatting with his manager or his. I don't know what he is, like his management or he's his media. I don't know what he is, but I chat with him, and then things never like worked out, or I don't know, like I almost got ghosted, or the guy got busy, or shit happened. I don't know what happened. I was like, okay, All right. Well, I'm no hard feelings, but I have to move on. I can't be held on red for weeks, right? So and then the opportunity came out with Shorty, and here we are, and it's good times, man. I really enjoy doing it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've watched a few episodes, and yeah, it seems like you guys have good chemistry, and he seems like a great guy. So.
Mm-hmm. But you know what, man? We're running up on time here, and I appreciate you coming on the show and chatting and just having a good chat. And that's all I'm looking for, man. I'm just having a good conversation for over an hour, and I appreciate you taking the time to come on here, Chris. I know it's starting to get late for both of us, and again, I appreciate the time, and I know you got your lady over there, so I don't want to take any more of your time, man. So I appreciate it, and good luck with everything. Good luck with the boxing. We'll stay in touch, and I'll be creeping up on you, knowing what's going on, waiting for another fight, and yeah, man, just good luck with everything, and we'll.
Appreciate you reaching out, man. It was really good catching up with you. I know it's been a couple of years. I know we chatted like here and there over the time, but it was nice to like have a good conversation. It just feels like old times, So.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's almost like old times, and interviewing all these fighters and doing this stuff together. So yeah, we'll stay in touch, man, and I appreciate it again, and we'll talk again soon, man.